The continent of Faerun contains many cities and towns, all of which trade and interact with one another to keep goods and coin flowing. These caravans usually have a small retinue of guards with them, but the roads between city walls are ever dangerous. So the clever caravan head will be willing to shell out a few extra coppers and silver in exchange for the added protection of mercenaries or the experienced adventurer. One such caravan, hauling wine and fine silks from Neverwinter to Waterdeep, had the sense to hire such a group. Inexperienced adventurers from Neverwinter, who would soon enough earn their pay. While crossing a river, the rattling of the carriage against the stonework of the bridge woke a mighty troll. The small retinue of guardsmen were no match for the monster, and the adventurers hired to guard the caravan hardly fared any better. The monster's terrifying strength and freakish regeneration threatened to overwhelm them. Yet for all its terrible might, the troll grew increasingly frustrated at one member in particular, a nimble little halfling rogue that somehow dodged every blow the monster made. A stray arrow hit the troll's eye. The monster stumbled, falling onto its back and crushing one of the wine carts beneath it. Seizing the opportunity, the halfling tossed a lit torch at the fallen troll. The wine splattered over the monster's body, ignited, engulfing it in flames. The fire ate away at the troll's body, preventing it from regenerating. Though some cargo was lost, the caravan was saved. The halfling smirked. "Well, how about that? I guess Lady Luck was on my side after all." Tymora, more commonly known as Lady Luck, is the goddess of the Faerunian pantheon. She holds the portfolios of skill, trickery, adventurers, and most importantly, good fortune. A cheerful and curious goddess, she whoops, sings, and hollers with gusto, whether she is in combat or not. Though not immune to acts of wrath, she holds no malice or hatred within her heart. However, she does enjoy a bit of mischief or ironic justice. She does not punish truly evil beings, for such things are beyond her influence. Instead, she aids the child seeking to steal honey cake from their parents' pantry, or ensure that an arrow just barely misses the head of an intrepid adventurer. Tymora is free-spirited, kind-hearted, and her curious yet mischievous antics have made her infamous among other gods as a childish troublemaker. Her romantic escapades are the perfect example of her true nature. The goddess of good fortune has a reputation as a flirt. She would become infatuated with another deity and enter into a romantic relationship with them. But such infatuations would cease and relationships cut off the very moment Tymora became bored of her partner or found herself drawn to someone else. She did not do this out of malice, nor a wish to hurt her romantic partners. It is simply not in her nature to be tied down. Tymora is a chaotic good deity, meaning she does not actively seek to spread evil, misery, or misfortune, but neither is she bound by a specific code or rigid set of rules. She has a heart of gold, but she is also largely unpredictable. If you were to ask her why she behaves as she does, she would simply shrug and say, "The winds of fortune blow when and where they may." Tymora is revered by any who use a mixture of luck and skill to get by. She is especially worshipped by merchants, thieves, and adventurers, all professions that require a great deal of skill and no shortage of luck. The Lady of Good Fortune encourages her followers to be bold in their decisions, and trust that luck is always on their side. She urges them to have the courage to accept both their good fortune and bad fortune. In fact, followers of Tymora do not despair or fear their misfortunes. They see it as a blessing, a sign that the goddess of luck has something big in store for them. This is reflected in their saying, Sometimes the lady smiles, sometimes she laughs out loud. More devout followers of Lady Luck have built temples dedicated to her everywhere. In cities, small villages, and even along the roads in the wilderness. These temples are not among the largest nor the grandest, but they are the most beloved. These temples offer sanctuary, food, and respite for any travelers, especially adventurers whom the goddess favors above all others. It is custom for these temples to keep common magic items in stock, to gift to adventurers in need of them. Tymora is extremely popular for her generosity, both with mortals and her fellow deities. She empowers magic items, grants a supernatural type of luck to adventurers, and even aids her fellow deities by pawning off her own godly powers to her allies. This is why, despite her reputation as a troublemaker, Tymora is well liked among the majority of good and neutral gods. But what does a goddess of fortune and adventure look like? What does Lady Luck herself look like? That is difficult to discern, as her mischievous and chaotic nature leads her to take on many different appearances when conversing with mortals. When she appears, she always takes on the form of whatever race is beholding her. If you are an elf, you would see her as an elf. If you are a dragonborn, you would see her as a dragonborn. Her avatars are always fit young women, with an impish nose and a crafty face. She always appears barefoot and wears a blue ribbon with a silver trim. Even this appearance she puts on, that of a young woman, is not always consistent. Before the time of troubles, Tymora would appear as a rugged tomboy in scrappy clothing. Later she would take the form of a noblewoman with long flowing hair, a fair smile, and a crown that would quite literally dance on her head. The history of Tymora is surprisingly well known and simple for a chaotic deity. Like many other gods and goddesses of the current age, Tymora used to exist as just one part of another, older deity, a goddess called Tish. This goddess held sway over both good and bad fortune. One day, as Tish was roaming the mortal world, she witnessed the most beautiful and perfect rose she had ever seen. But the ground was unwilling to give such perfection up, and Tish was unable to pluck the rose from the ground. The goddess of good and bad fortune cursed the rose with bad luck, and the rose fell off of its stem. Tish then put the rose in her hair, but the rose was cursed by Morander, the god of decay. When she returned to the heavens, Tish was little more than a bubbling mass of flesh and bone that barely resembled a humanoid shape. She begged for help and received aid from her closest friends, Selûne, goddess of the moon, and Lathander, god of renewal. As the two deities attempted to help their friend, their magic split Tish in two. One half became Vishaba, goddess of misfortune, and the other half became Tymora, goddess of good fortune. Tymora inherited all of her mother's golden qualities, her love of living creatures, her desire to be generous and helpful, and the powers over good luck and good fortune. When she is not pulling her pranks, Tymora resides in the divine realm known as the Gates of the Moon. This is not her realm. In fact, the goddess of luck is a guest in this place. The Gates of the Moon belong to Selûne, goddess of the moon, and close friend to Tymora. Within the Gates of the Moon, Tymora has been allowed her own place to rule, which she calls the Great Wheel. To walk within the Great Wheel is to be at the whims of pure luck. 7 great floating islands connected by lofty bridges slowly spin, each island filled to the brim with gambling dens, games of chance, and other tests of luck. Though this may paint a grim image, the atmosphere of the Great Wheel is extremely light-hearted. Fighting does break out from time to time, but this is rare. In the divine realms, the majority of creatures are already deceased. They do not need to worry about losing material goods, for they are no longer alive. But should disputes get out of hand, they are settled with even more tests of luck and skill. You may win everything one day, and lose it all the next, but no matter what, you will never lose your smile. That is what it means to be in the Great Wheel. That being said, Tymora does not abide cheaters. To cheat is to force the hand of luck to be on your side, and to reject the hand you have been dealt. Not only that, but it takes away whatever good fortune has been blessed to another. For these reasons, followers of Tymora are honest and good sports to a fault. For to cheat would be to spit in the face of the goddess. Curious, though, why she does not have her own divine realm. But in fact, she does. The realm was known as the Hall of Chance, and it remains Tymora's place of power to this day. It is the ultimate gambling hall of the heavens, where petitioners, celestials, and even gods come to gamble and test their luck. It was described as a towering hall surrounded by roads of illusionary gold, gaudy statues, and birch trees. By day it shined brightly of polished gold, and by night it was illuminated by the soft yellow lights of millions of fireflies. Tymora no longer resides in the Hall of Chance, and rarely does she visit, for it was here that she had to watch her lover kill her best friend. In the year 1384, not long before the terrible events of the Spell Plague, Tymora was roped into a horrible misunderstanding. At the time, there was strife in the heavens. Many deities had fallen, and new ones were beginning to rise. In an effort to keep order in the celestial realms, Tyr, the Norse god of justice, pursued a romantic relationship with Tymora. In order to keep relations between the Norse pantheon and the Faerunian pantheon healthy. This relationship was entirely political at first, but the two slowly began to grow fond of one another, and even develop true feelings of romance. But there were problems. Tymora had a reputation for giving her divine power away to help others, while at the same time getting into trouble from her mischief and pranks. In an effort to protect his new love, Tyr requested Tymora have a bodyguard. This bodyguard was Helm, the Protector, a god whose portfolio included guards, protection, and chivalry. It was a perfect match. Helm would keep Tymora safe, so both Tyr and Tymora could continue to do what they always have, without worrying for her safety. However, a more personal issue arose soon after. The goddess of luck was not infamous for her pranks alone, but also her wandering eye when it came to her lovers. And as her bodyguard, Helm and Tymora were spending a lot of time together. Tyr became suspicious, and even convinced himself that Helm was courting Tymora behind his back. Outraged, Tyr demanded a duel. Helm knew the truth. Tymora and him had never done anything. He would never dishonor his position of friendship with Tyr as such, but it was also dishonorable to refuse a duel. Tymora begged Tyr to stop, for she knew that Helm was not powerful enough to stand against the Norse god of justice. But her words did nothing. In the end, Tyr slew Helm, striking the Protector down. Tymora was so distraught by this that she dissolved her relationship with Tyr and fled to the realm of Saloon. This tragedy was rectified centuries later when Helm was resurrected. To this day, Tymora, Tyr, and Helm remain respectful friends. When it comes to Tymora's powers, they are rather simple and yet incredibly effective. As a goddess of good fortune, she could sense any act of good fortune and luck as soon as they happened. Her voice could carry for 100 miles at any time, and any games being played within 100 yards of her would be won by completely improbable odds. Any forms of magic that would be used to poison her, grant her a disease, or control her mind were instantly nullified, and all attacks made against her seemed to miss for no apparent reason. She could walk through traps without setting them off and always seemed to know the right way to go, despite not being a goddess of nature. To put it simply, Tymora is good luck made manifest, and pushed to ridiculous degrees. Things simply work out in her favor. This is an extremely powerful and extremely useful ability, for Tymora's pranks have earned her the ire of several evil gods, including Bane, the Lord of Tyranny, Moander, the god of decay, and her twin sister, Beshaba, goddess of misfortune. All three terrible deities have sworn to capture and punish Tymora for her constant meddling, but to this day none have been able to lay so much as a finger on her. The few accounts of Tymora entering into a fight show her as nonchalantly battling in a fencer style, with a long silver rapier. Attacks from her foes glance off just barely missing, and her strikes always seem to hit home at just the right angle. Followers of Tymora that pray for an edge in combat are usually blessed with a lucky blade, a type of magical sword that can turn even the charlatans into adept swordsmen. Well, more or less. Why do I always double down when I'm losing? 'Cause fortune favors the bold, love. Fortune favors the bold. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. On this channel, I put together narrative Dungeons & Dragons lore videos. If you enjoy this type of content, then please subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate it. Feel free to check out my channel for more Dungeons & Dragons lore, and maybe follow me on social media. One last thing before you go, it is almost October, and I want to make a Halloween special for you guys. But time is running out. If you want your ideas made into a Halloween video, then please comment what you think is the scariest part of D&D, and I'll place those suggestions into a poll. The winners of this poll will be chosen by the community, and they will be made into videos, so if you want to be part of it, get on it now. There isn't much time left. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.